Batman's story has always been one of horror and terror, a person scarred deeply by the tragedy of their life, but, through the darkness, a shining beacon of hope, fighting the good fights, and keeping the innocent safe. And not only is he a great hero, but also, of course, the world's greatest detective. And what better story to give a character like this than a murder mystery? The Long Halloween, in my opinion, is one of the greatest Batman stories of all time. Let's talk about it. Batman The Long Halloween was written by Jeff Loeb with art by the legendary Tim Sale. The story takes place in about year 2 of Batman's career as this series of killings keeps on happening on holidays. This now dubbed holiday killer is out, and it's up to Batman to figure out who it is exactly. Could it be Calendar Man? Could it be Riddler? Could it be somebody new? Could it be Harvey Dent? The story is this twisty, turny, swirly mystery that leaves you hanging on each issue, wondering who exactly the holiday killer is, keeping you on your toes, trying to figure out all the clues, trying to put all the pieces together before Batman figures out who it is. But does Batman even figure out who it is? Is it that complicated of a mystery that even the world's greatest detective can't figure it out? This story has so much going for it, and to be honest, it's a story that, given another team, probably couldn't have worked. It's jam-packed full of characters. If you're just getting into Batman right now and you haven't really read a lot of Batman comics, this is a great way to survey all of these great villains. You get Poison Ivy, you get Catwoman, you get Joker, you get Scarecrow, and even Mad Hatter. Having this many characters in a comic almost feels dangerous, like it's threatening to be overflowing with just too many thread lines going, but it sort of keeps the mystery kind of vague and makes you wonder who exactly is pulling the strings here and what's going on. It gives you a lot of suspects, and it never really feels like it's overcrowded or, sort of loses the plot in a way. It all feels like it really just works together. You get a lot of just amazing character moments too. This isn't just a mystery, but it also is a deeper dive into who Batman is, which I was really surprised by going back to this years later. I kind of forgot about how much it dives into who Batman is. It's also, of course, serves as an inspiration for The Dark Knight. Of course, the plot is way different, but this idea of Gordon and Harvey and Batman all working together is derived directly from this. Even the statement, "I believe in Harvey Dent," comes from this. Much like Batman's own origin story, this of course also serves as a dark tragedy that, of course, leads to the downfall of Harvey Dent himself. Seeing this white knight, this shining beacon of hope for the future of Gotham, just brought down so low is crushing. Gordon and Batman feel like they've both failed him. It's very much driven by its characters as much as it's driven by its plots. The mystery is never lost, and you're always wondering who the holiday killer is and seeing all these bits and pieces come together. But you also get to see some great character moments too. Like you get to see Harvey, being so devoted that, he doesn't really have a lot of time for his wife, and his life is on the line. He's a target for this guy. You get to see Batman go through all these hardships and everything as he tries to figure out what exactly is going on with this mystery. He feels the pressure of solving it as it goes on for months and months, more killings each month. You also see Gordon push to his limits as he's trying to figure out what exactly is happening too, right there beside the other two. His home life all but shattered. It really is at the time one of Batman's hardest cases, and it makes it so satisfying seeing how it all shapes up and how close Batman gets and all of the different twists and turns and finally getting some answers quite at the end. Just with a very memorable final set of panels I won't even show here. You gotta read it yourself, man. And once again, the deeper look at Batman is just so very palpable and just feels so real. We get an amazing issue called Mother's Day. Each issue, of course, is based on a different, holiday. But Mother's Day really, of course, focuses on his mother. Batman is sprayed with Scarecrow's fear toxin, and he's just, completely, out of it and scared and paranoid, and, he sees these visions of his parents and everything, and he feels like he's really let them down. He feels such a heavy weight by their loss and their sacrifice that he has to live up to that, but he feels like he can't live up to that. No matter how hard he tries, he just can't do it. It's such an emotional issue, and honestly, one of the most emotional issues of Batman that I've ever read. It really tugs at the heartstrings. The son feeling like he's let down his mother. These issues work together to build a larger mystery, but they also work as individuals too, these little slices of time and understanding who these characters are. There's so many great issues. Like, of course, Mother's Day is one of my favorite. I also love April Fool's Day, which is a little more fun. It's this story where Falcone hires Riddler to sort of figure out what exactly is going on with these murders, because a lot of them are Falcone members, not, Maroni members or anything like that. Like, he's the guy that's being targeted, so he wants Riddler to figure out who it is. So as Batman is sort of figuring things out too in the Batcave, Riddler is sort of explaining things and sort of trying to walk through the mystery himself. So you get these cuts from back and forth of Riddler and Batman almost talking to each other, even though they're in separate locations. It's such a fun sort of plot device and structure that really just pays off so nicely, and you get a really iconic ending too of Riddler being a target for the holiday killer. Of course being spared because it's April Fool's Day, but boy does he get it right. The series ends in such a climactic way with such an iconic moment of all of the villains going after Falcone himself, and of course, the reveal of the Holiday Killer. I read this thing 10 years ago and I loved it then, and when I reread it just a month ago, I was like, yeah, it's still absolutely perfect. The series, of course, continues with some sequels. We've got, of course, Dark Victory, which is a cool sort of rise of Robin, as there's another mystery going on here of the Hangman murders. And then you also have the latest series, I believe, called The Last Halloween, which is a follow-up years later, which I've heard a lot of good things about, but I've never read it before, so I'm excited to dive in. But the unfortunate thing is that we've, of course, lost the legendary Tim Sale a few years ago, which really makes me sad. He's such a very talented artist. You know, his work in this just stands out so well. You can instantly recognize a Tim Sale comic with his unique stylings. It's sort of, in this one, it's very dark and gothic and atmospheric, and I absolutely love the way that he does the holiday killings. He shows them in black and white as like a very, very mysterious, dark sort of noir movie. You get shots of the guns, the victims, but never the face, of course, of the holiday killer himself, or herself. The art and the writing just works together, just crafts such a perfect mystery. The vibe and the feelings done for the art, the emotions done for the art, as well as, of course, just the strong writing for all of the characters. They all feel like they're very in character. It feels like such a pure Batman comic. I can't overstate how great this comic is, really. I mean, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's easily one of my favorite Batman comics, and for me, one of the very best Batman comics ever written. And of course, like I said, its legacy cannot be overstated either, of course being one of the key inspirations for The Dark Knight itself. Thank you all for watching, and happy Halloween.